first page of results. So what that means is, to compete, local businesses have to have a professional online presence that ranks well with Google. I think most people have probably taken steps to help make sure that their own website is performing well, both SEO-wise, and it looks good. But if you are a manufacturer with distributors or dealers, what about the people that are distributing your product? Their success is directly related to your success. So it's important that they have a professional presence that ranks well with Google too. Another factor is, as Google gives more and more priority to localized results, companies that want to stay visible need to give their dealers or franchises or distributors SEO tools so that they stay visible. With WaterFurnace, we found that typically we have two types of customers. Those are the hands-on technician type of people and the active marketers. The hands-on technician people, I call them that because they come from the technical side of the product. So they're experts on the product. They're the head-in-the-box type of people who are comfortable servicing the product with them. They've done it for a long time and kind of worked themselves up through the business. So they're comfortable with that, but generally those type of people aren't as comfortable with marketing, so they have either no website or a limited website. Their challenges that they face is that they don't really have any geothermal information online. If they carry, generally our customers carry a portfolio of products that aren't necessarily always ours. So they may have information on traditional air source or traditional HVAC equipment, but they don't have any geothermal information. So when a consumer goes out looking, there's nothing to find. They aren't part of that conversation. They aren't really comfortable creating or maintaining a website. Like I said, they come from the technical side of the business, so they aren't as savvy with marketing a lot of times. And they don't have the time or money to have someone create a website from scratch in a lot of cases. These are technical things. Also, one of the challenges that they face is if they do decide to go get a website, generally with the budgets that they have, a lot of times they're working with the local guy, the local web guy, and they have a hard time understanding a lot of the geothermal concepts. There's a lot of misconceptions about geothermal out in the marketplace. A lot of people think that we're hot rocks or we're steam, when we're actually only use the heat that's 4 to 5 feet below the surface of your yard. And it's also a challenge for them, both financially and resource-wise, to keep on top of constantly evolving product information. So if we have a new product that comes out, they need to stay aware of that, and then also download the information, and then also make that available on their website. Then we have the active marketers. They're more comfortable marketing. They're more comfortable with marketing activities and tools, and they're generally comfortable with new technologies. And generally, these guys do have a website, but even if they do have a website, and although it may be good, most of the time they have very limited geothermal information on there. Lead costs are high for website updates, especially for a more professional website. And quality business website is generally expensive. We run into the same type of problem we ran into with a local web guy. It's just when the active marketer goes to an agency, a lot of the times a traditional agency still has a problem trying to understand geothermal concepts. We have worked with agencies over the years, and we still run into misconceptions from people who are helping us sell our product. It's also a challenge to them to keep on top of constantly evolving product information and new technologies. And at the corporate level, we also have a challenge that, like Mark mentioned a little bit, we have little control over how they're using our brand, what they're saying about our products, what kind of promises they're making in a lot of cases. We also had little control over the visual aspect of it. The example I showed earlier actually had an old WaterFurnace logo that we haven't used in 5 years, but it's still on the website. Another big problem was that we didn't have any insight into the performance of their websites, whether that's leads or traffic. And even with advertising, a lot of times we were giving co-marketing dollars or co-op dollars for some of these activities without any idea of how it's returning or if it was money well spent. Another issue for all three of the groups, corporate, active marketer, and hands-on technician, is Google. Google just released their Panda update, the most recent Panda update, their algorithm recently. Panda has wreaked havoc on a lot of people's rankings rankings in Google. So unless you have the time and the resources to keep on top of all the changing resources of Google, because I think someone mentioned it a little bit earlier, Google has major updates that they release, but they change minor changes, 400, 500, 600 times a year sometimes. So unless you have the resources to keep right on top of that, it becomes a good idea to try and find someone who that's their dedicated job, is to stay on top of those type of things. So the solution that we came up with Cirrus is the WaterFurnace Geothermal website program, and this is a look at that. We partnered with Cirrus because we found that their platform was really interesting, especially with the vertical integration. The goal was to provide a powerful website choice for our dealers and distributors at a good price. They were built for SEO to make sure that they do show up there on Google, and to address the needs of the hands-on marketers and the hands-on technicians. So for the active marketer, it's nice because now there is dedicated geothermal information, and we know that because we helped create it. The content is quickly and easily updated by corporate. So if, for example, we change a feature or discontinue a feature for cost reduction or whatever product, they don't have to keep track of all the revisions or all the different variations that we have in the product, because we change it at corporate and it's updated on the website. The pictures and copy are all customizable to reflect the dealer's brand as well as our brand. So we realize that that's the dealer's brand that they're trying to promote too, not just ours. So we give them the tools to really tell their story, but then we also have the tools to make sure that our brand is intact. Here's an example of one of the ways to edit the website. If you can edit a Word document, you can edit your website. If you look at the interface, it should be pretty familiar. So dealers can go in and change pretty much anything in the text, except for we've locked off the product section so that we have some control over the promises being made about our product. But as far as why they offer WaterFurnace or about their company, they have the ability to say pretty much whatever they want. It's nice because they have a large, attractive image rotator at the front, but it's not just images that we pre-can for them. They can turn on and off images, basically just by clicking on the check mark or on the X. And if they don't see anything that they like there, they also have the ability to upload their own images. So it really does become something that they can use to promote their business as well as promoting our business. And for those people who are active marketers, it's nice because if they get in there and really personalize the site like they're supposed to, they're rewarded by search engines because it's new, fresh content. So the people that actually take the time and the effort, and they're the tinkerers to go in there and start updating the information, they're rewarded by Google, and they will end up showing higher than maybe someone in the same geographic area who doesn't take as much time to change the information on their website. And it is affordable. Our program starts at $50 a month for the entire website package, which is pretty competitive. For corporate, we end up creating the initial messaging and images, which is nice because we know that it adheres to corporate brand standards because we help to make it. It also eliminates, like I talked about before and Mark mentioned, obsolete or out-of-date information in the wild. I don't know how many times I've gone around and Googled WaterFurnace dealer in different cities and found non-sites that we provide that have either the dreaded red X because they hot link to one of our documents that's no longer even there, or they have an obsolete piece of equipment that we haven't sold for 5 years. This is one thing that Mark mentioned before too, is that they provide easy communication and promotions. What Mark mentioned earlier was our geothermal upgrade. It started at the beginning of the year and it ran for 3 months. And if you had purchased a geothermal unit of any brand previously, then to upgrade, if you upgraded to a WaterFurnace piece of equipment, we gave you $2,000 on top of the 30% federal tax credit. So if you already had your geothermal unit is getting older and you're considering getting a new one, we kind of pushed you into making that move. Well, the nice thing was, the first year that we did it, we didn't have these websites, so we had to have a dedicated landing page on our dealer business resources center. And we had to make sure that everyone knew what the URL was and everyone went there and downloaded all the information. With the new sites, the day that the program started, the information automatically showed up on each one of the dealers' pages. So they didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to go and find the images. They didn't have to download the documents. So the day that it started, it was on every participating dealer's website. And the day that it ended, it was gone from every dealer's website. So we had a lot of control over the start and end dates. We didn't have to worry about, oh, is someone still promoting this, this program that's not even around anymore. So that's what we're talking about when we said that it makes it easy for promotions. Another quick example of that is in the Indianapolis area, within a 200-mile radius of Indianapolis, we're offering a service called Loopmaster, which helps provide services and expertise on providing the heat exchanger out in the ground. So what we did was segment those dealers out that were within 200 miles, and they could choose to be part of the Loopmaster distribution or not. So when they logged into their admin portal, there was an update that they could either accept or not accept, which was for the Loopmaster materials. And when you click on it, you got a new slider image and a new page on your website that gave you details about that promotion. Another nice thing is that dealers and us as well can track performance with the built-in analytics on the page. A lot of the times, especially towards the beginning, when we talked to dealers that even did have websites, they didn't have analytics built in. They had no idea what their website traffic was. They had no idea what was going on. So the platform is nice that it provides that type of insight both to the dealer and to us if we want to take the time and go look at it. We have different templates, but also within the templates, we have different color schemes. So even if you do happen to pick the same template as one of your competitors, with the color scheme change, it will provide a little bit of differentiation. New templates are added periodically. We just actually started a thing where we're going to have, on a set basis, new templates added to the system. So, say in a few years from now, there will be enough templates that even if you are a part of this program, you'll appear different than maybe the person across town who may have the same program. They're planning on adding functionality to where it's easy to switch between the looks as well. I think at the beginning there'll be some manual changing, but the goal at some point is to be able to quickly and easily switch between templates. We provided...
It takes about 2 minutes and it's free.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we have found, is that when our dealers, because as Mark said, a lot of them aren't really tech savvy and a lot of them aren't on the forefront of technology, so they aren't really comfortable with technology. So we've had a lot of good feedback with dealers who need help and call up Cirrus. They're always willing to help them, walk them through getting updates or customizing a page. So the customer service aspect of it is really nice. As part of our program, we also offer paid search and call tracking options. With the paid search, I'm sure a lot of you know what that is, but it allows us to create ads for Google, Bing, Yahoo, all the search engines to drive supplemental traffic to the website. It's good because it provides immediate traffic for SEO efforts that haven't quite taken effect yet, even though we have found that with the Cirrus sites, they do take effect pretty quickly. They react pretty quickly, but paid search provides some of that immediate traffic. And one of the other nice things is that propane is a good example. Our websites don't traditionally rank well for propane because we don't talk about propane. But that's a really good market for replacement because propane is very expensive and it's usually out in rural areas. So that's why people chose propane. And it's an attractive switch, but we don't appear on Google for that type of thing. So we can buy keywords for propane so that when someone is searching for replacement units, maybe with propane, we show up. Ads are tested and refined, and it's nice because the dealer doesn't have to know about A/B testing. They don't need to know which one is performing the best or has the highest click-through rate because Cirrus handles that. We included in part of the package 5 call tracking numbers. This is nice because in the same way that dealers didn't have much of an idea how their websites were doing before, they also didn't have any idea of how their advertising was doing either. They may know the phone rings, but they have no idea why. It could be the billboard out on Route 6. It could be the newspaper ad that they ran recently. This is nice because now with the 5 numbers, you can assign a trackable number to different activities so that when the phone rings, you know why the phone rings. Because one number is assigned to the billboard. So when that number rings, it's only because of the billboard. A number assigned to the website, so when the phone rings, someone found that number on the website. So it provides insight to both the dealer and us on which activities are working well and which ones aren't. Because with the economy the way that it is, everyone needs to be as efficient as they can with their activities. So this provides some insight both to the dealers and to us on which activities are working well for certain dealers. In our industry, no other manufacturer provides this type of solution with this much control, and it's that easy to update. The dealers can make changes whenever they'd like with their own message, so they don't have to fill out a change order. They don't have to call up their web guy. If they want to make a change, if they decide tomorrow that they want to run a promotion at their level, then they can log into their admin portal, and the next morning can start if they want to.
Can you give us just a couple examples? What type of things are you allowing them to change again? And
We actually
what
give
type
them-
of thing are you retaining that just WaterFurnace will change?
We give them a pretty high level of control. Like I said, the only thing that we really lock down is the product section, because legally we want to have some type of control over the claims that they make about our equipment. But other than that, we allow them to change pretty much every page. If they don't like any of our slider images that I pointed out earlier, they can dump them all. They can have 10 of their own or 3 of their own, or if they like one. So between images and text, we allow them to change pretty much everything. Because we do realize, like I said, that this is as much their business as it is our business. So.
Is your network dedicated to WaterFurnace?
Now, we do have some dealers that are dedicated to WaterFurnace, but the majority of our network isn't dedicated to WaterFurnace. And this is also another reason that it was nice, is in the HVAC industry, a lot of times the big players like Carrier especially are trained. Carrier says that if they provide you co-op dollars for your website or provide you a template, you can't advertise anybody else except for Carrier on that website. So that locks us out of their out of their dealer website. So this is nice, so that if they do have a geothermal button at the end of the page, they can link that geothermal button from their website to the dedicated geothermal website and then link back. So it provides a solution for a situation where before we couldn't even get in. Because generally, like I said, we do have some dealers that are 100% geothermal, but traditionally, it used to be that the air source side, the traditional side, was higher, so that if the choice had to be made which one they wanted to promote, generally they would pick their Carrier or their Trim.
That doesn't matter too much now, because if you search on Google, Yahoo, or Bing, only their stuff shows up.
Well, so some of the results. Today we have around 230 different dealers that have signed up. We also run a program where the sites are reviewed for keyword rankings monthly, so we can kind of keep on top of where we're showing up for keywords. For that, the city name plus geothermal, the search for in Google, and the results are recorded. We're pretty happy with the results. Currently, more than 60% of the primary target cities appear on the first page of Google. That means that for all of these different cities, we are appearing in the conversation every time someone goes to search in one of those markets. Almost 1/3 of participating companies are the first result, which gets the lion's share of the link clicks. And there's some of the numbers that I was talking about. WaterFurnace dealers are targeting 2,500 unique cities around the country, with first page results for over 1,800 of those cities. So what that means is that in 1,800 unique cities, we are appearing in every conversation where someone searches about geothermal. So it's almost, we are winning market share by saturating the results pages. So we can win more and more market share because we're the only result that comes back. One example is Geothermal Solutions. When we did the study on this site, it was only 39 days old, and that's what I was saying, that these react pretty quickly a lot of the times with SEO. This was only 39 days old at the time. 13 of the 20 cities at that time were the #1 result. 19 of the 20 cities were on the first page. 95% of their markets were on the first page. There's a picture of what the site looked like. They had gone in and taken the time to, and worked with Cirrus. This was another example of where Cirrus worked with this company to help customize with the GeoPro logo, the IXPRA certification, the ANSYS list.
But just a moment, I wanted to speak something there, if I could, Tim. When he says 13 of 20 cities, what you need to understand is each one of these dealers are targeting a primary city and 19 other surrounding cities. And for this particular company, 13 of the 20 cities that they were targeting for their geographical location were in the first position on Google. So Fort Wayne, geothermal; New Haven, geothermal. You get the idea, all the surrounding communities. That's the 13 of 20. I just wanted to make that point.
One other thing with that is that even when you do go to Fort Wayne, we found that it was interesting that if you type in Fort Wayne geothermal, a lot of the Fort Wayne dealers that show up for Fort Wayne geothermal, the geothermal page that we created shows up before their real page shows up. So we show up better than the sites that they have. Because like I said, a lot of these guys have dual sites. They have their main site and they have the geothermal site. So these sites that have been around longer and should have more authority than the new sites that we created for them. We're actually showing up higher than their normal site. With Geothermal Solutions, they told us that for their previous site, the customer had only found them 3 or 4 times over the last 3 years. And they've been found more online in the 39 days since they've been live than they had in the 3 years of the previous site. So, in summary, as Google gives increasing priority to local search, which they're doing more and more, if you want to stay visible, you need to provide your local dealers, your franchises, your distributors the tools to maximize visibility. Our strategy is to win market share by saturating the first page of results. This tool is nice because it allows us to have insight into performance and marketing tools. It also gives the customers the tools to help determine simple return on investment. And we also have much better control over how our brand is portrayed and also the professionalism of the site. That's it. Is there any questions? All right. Thank you.